took the manifold back off because I figured out where I want to put it, the actual pressure regulator, and thinking right about here. This is what I'm looking at. It's going to sit right next to the starter, and I'll be able to see the gauge with the manifold on and everything, but it'll be nice and tucked away. Plus it'll be directly in line of where the fuel lines will come down and across, and then it'll be able to go right to the actual hard lines, which are sitting there, the little masking tape. So this is the good spot, and fortunately for me, extra hole plus this bracket hole, so maybe I can extend this bracket or make a new bracket that comes across, and then there's a couple little mounting holes on the back pressure regulator. There's a little bracket, not the prettiest, very functional though. Pressure regulator mounted to the block. I have my line here that'll come from the fuel rail, which we know sits about here. And I'm gonna make a line to come down, sneak around, and then connect to this. Basically, a fuel pressure regulator works by, it's a pressure diaphragm in here that's connected to your manifold, so you're depending on how much boost you're running and just how much fuel you need to maintain a constant fuel pressure so that your injector settings are consistent, if that makes sense. So injectors are going to be open for a certain amount of time, and if you had more pressure, you would be putting more fuel than you're thinking. If you have less, so you need to regulate that pressure, and that's where something like this comes in. Of course, there's more pressure on the output side of the injector when you're under boost, so it also needs to compensate for that being where it takes in the actual manifold pressure. I'm going to tape it just to mark it, and then we're going to go over to the bench and cut it. This is the PTFE line from Vibrant and the PTFE fittings from Vibrant. So they're a little different than some other AN fittings you may have seen. So this part may be different than your lines, but the cutting still remains true. But they have a little olive that goes over the actual line, but not the braid. And then this goes inside, and then the whole thing clamps down to crush and create a seal. Water, it's my favorite thing to use to lubricate these lines, just because it doesn't leave nasty residue like a WD-40 or something would. What I'll do is, once I'm sure of these sizes, I'll go and take a wrench and we'll tighten these up. But for now, we're gonna go check our work on the car. I'll go and put this back on for hopefully the last time. We're looking very good here. I've got the fuel rail kind of mocked up. I have my return line from the fuel rail here. I got my feed back there. off that 90, goes straight down the firewall behind the motor. Don't have any injectors in yet because I'm not 100% ready to start. The exhaust isn't done. Whenever I'm ready to start, gas is in the car, oil's in the engine, I will put the injectors in, and then we're just good to go. I'll leave them off just so they're not exposed to the elements. Just you want them submerged in fuel or sealed off from the humidity as long as you can. They're very sensitive like that. The return comes down to the fuel filter down here, or sorry, the fuel pressure regulator down here, and then those both go down to the fuel lines, the hard lines, which go all the way back. Now that this front end is done, we pretty much go to the rear and do all the rear nonsense. So we're gonna put the surge tank over here, like we marked out a second ago, just to try and even out what's in the back. We got the battery over here, we'll have the tank over here, and then that'll also give us the shortest lines as possible, because we're gonna come through the floor back there somewhere, run the AN lines up, and you want shorter lines and you want straight lines, so keeping them as straight and short as possible is ideal. What we'll do is, I've already marked all these. We are looking good. Got my nice large holes drilled for my bulkhead fittings to go from the rubber fuel line to AN, and then to fit my whole AN line through. This is where the tank will be mounted. All the holes line up good on the bracket. Bolts are hand threaded in there, a couple turns. Hood, or the trunk closes. So we're in pretty good shape to keep moving. I'm really actually quite happy with where this sits, as opposed to trying to jam it over here. I think it looks pretty clean right here. But next on the agenda, I'm gonna try to clean this up a bit, scratch it up a bit, and get some epoxy down in all these places, just to inhibit some rust. Obviously I'm gonna have to weld in these boxes and cut out some things here, but for now I'm gonna do the parts that I just drilled holes through. fuel cell, both AEM pumps in there, all the lines, a Fuel Lab, I think 6 micron filter. All the lines go down. Those two go to the actual fuel rail, or I'm sorry, these two actually go to the tank. They have a bulkhead fitting that's got like a regular fuel line on the other side. This is my feed, the one with the fuel filter to the rail that goes all the way up to the front, and then the other is my return. It's all pretty clean. I just have to do the last wiring. This little wiring goes up and over into the little relay box that I got. It's mounted on there, and I'll run the power to this, run all my relays from this, because I'll need 3 relays, one, 2, 3, for the original fuel pump, or the original location fuel pump, and then the 2 in the tank. As far as all that's concerned, that is the Nuke and Vibrant portion of this. It took actually like 18 times longer than I thought it would. If you guys noticed, the last upload I did was like 2 months ago, just because this is very tedious planning and cutting it all out and then routing everything and building the hoses. It all takes a really long time. I was not ready for that at all. But in the end, it's worth it. I think this is a very, very clean setup, very bulletproof. And I think we're going to make some very big, reliable power. Hopefully it'll start up the first attempt. But huge shout out to Nuke, huge shout out to Vibrant. They helped a lot, answering a lot of my questions. If you guys have any questions about search tanks and all that good stuff, check the description. I'll try to post some links from what I was learning and what I was reading about these products. And if you're trying to do a project like this yourself, I highly suggest these products. Everything kind of goes together without too much issue. It's just you're going to have to do all the custom work of planning it out, which does take some effort on your part, but we do it because we love it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Peace. Aside from my soul,